everybody. Welcome back to Crafting and Crime Daily. This is the show where I recap live trials, so you have something to listen to while you're crafting. Right now, I'm listening to a really annoying utility truck outside. I hope you can hear me over that. I've waited for like an hour for them to go away. I don't know what the deal is, but let's start the show with the Friday dance. Ooh, 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 ooh. Someone watched my Friday dance and they said, this show looks like you're gearing it towards 3-year-olds. Well, it's not towards 3-year-olds. Not with what we're going to talk about today. Today, we're going to talk about a 13-year-old child who was left in a hot car. This is a case against Rita Pangalangan and Larry Miller Jr. that's going on in Collington County in South Carolina with Judge Clifton Newman. They have concluded the evidence. The judge, as we speak, is reading them their instructions, and then we'll go back to deliberate. When they come back, I will go live when they have a verdict. I don't think it's going to take very long. So they had some testimony today. They took yesterday off because of the hurricane. They concluded testimony on Wednesday at noon, and at that time, we were under the impression that when they got back on Friday today, we were going to see Rita Pangalangan take the stand. But apparently she changed her mind. She thought better of it. She did not take the stand. So on Wednesday at noon, when the day concluded Wednesday, the defense had rested for Larry Miller, but we had not heard the defense case on behalf of Rita Pangalangan. So that started this morning. So the first witness on the stand was the officer who was on the stand on Wednesday, in which they brought in the video, the 5.5-hour video that they watched. Oh no, I guess that would have been Tuesday afternoon, because they went into late into the evening watching this 5.5-hour video. So this officer actually testified that when he got to the scene, the car was running, the air was on, but that car was hot. So one of two things, and here's what the state argued. Larry turned that car on after he broke into it. After he was finally able to get into that car and get that child out, he turned it on. He turned the air conditioning on. It hadn't been enough time to cool the car off. So the state, during their closing arguments, they pointed out that when you watch the video, and I did include this video in yesterday's show if you want to go back and watch it. When you watch that video, you see him carrying the child out, and she's right behind him, Mom, Rita, she's right behind him. They carry the child out to the car. At no time do you see him turn that car on. Now, this is around 11:15. So I was incorrect in what I told you guys before. She had picked up her child on Sunday evening. She left the child with a babysitter on Friday. Didn't say when she was coming back. The babysitter assumed it was going to be Friday evening. She never comes back. The babysitter tries to call her on Saturday. She gets a hold of her. She says, yeah, I'm going to pick up some groceries and I'll be home. Doesn't come home. Doesn't come home till Sunday night. So on Sunday night, that evening, she and Larry come over to Rita's house. They pick up the child from the babysitter and they go back to Larry's house where Rita spends the night. So unless she left that car running from the night before, you don't see anybody on the video footage, because they looked at all the video footage up until the time 11:15 time when they put the child in the car. No one comes out and starts that car. It's a push button car. And I've only learned about this because I'm driving a rental car now. That's push button. And I couldn't figure out for the life of me, like, how does this? It's not doing anything, because you have to put your foot on the brake to start the car. You do not see Larry King or Rita Pangalangan that day that they carried the child out at 11:15 because he got mad at her for having an affair and he wants them to leave. Nobody started that car. It's his testimony that the car was already running. Now, how is that? Who started the car? Who got in, put their foot on the brake, and started the car? No one. And that to me is pretty key. As if I were the juror, I'd be like hanging my hat on that one because it's pretty damning testimony. And then later on, after you realize the child is dead from heat exhaustion in this car, you turn the car on before the police get there. Not gonna fly. Not gonna fly. Oh my God, that's annoying. That noise. Oh, for God's sakes. All right. So then they put Rita's daughter on the stand. Rita's daughter, sweet girl, 31 years old, 13-year difference between her, 13 or 14-year difference between her and her younger sister, Christina. And you can tell by looking at the 31-year-old daughter that she has some island heritage in her. Remember yesterday I said Pangalangan is a Filipino name. She is probably part Filipino, and you could tell. But she said that Christina didn't get the island gene. It kind of passed her up. So I don't know who Christina's actual father was. Her last name was Pangalangan. But this woman testified how close she was with her sister. She's married now. She's been married for 10 years. She married a pastor. Her mom would come to church all the time with Christina. They only lived 45 minutes away. She said she would come home a lot of weekends because she got meals. Mom's a really good cook, so she'd come home. You know, to hear her tell it, Mom was the greatest thing since sliced bread. They would take Christina out for dinner, and every time they would take her out for dinner, because she couldn't walk, she couldn't talk, she could show emotion, but she'd get really excited about going out for dinner. So they would tell her every time, "It's your birthday," because she loved the attention. So it got to the point where the people at the restaurant knew the shtick. They knew, okay, they're going to pretend it's her birthday again because the child loved it. So she talked about how her and her mother had arranged that when her mother could no longer care for the child, she would be the one to take Christina and continue the care of Christina. She talked about stuff that like she said, Christina was my mother's whole world. She replaced the floors with hardwood floors so they could put Christina on the hardwood floor and she could move around and they could keep it clean. They put in a wheelchair ramp. They had a special bathtub for her because she loved bathing. She thinks she was in the pool, and they had to widen the bathroom entrance to get her wheelchair in. They had just fitted her for a brand new wheelchair. Um, it, you would think this woman was like mother of the year, according to this daughter. So, however, this daughter, she's boohooing on the stand, has no idea. She had no idea that her mom was a meth addict. Didn't know about it. That's sad. That's really sad. So then the state gets up and the defense rests. They don't put on Rita Pangalangan. They just put on the daughter. And so the state gets up in their closing arguments and they said, this little child was totally dependent on Rita for everything, eating, drinking. What she couldn't do anything for herself. But Mom was on a meth bender that week, and she started on Friday. It continued on Saturday, Sunday, and now we're into Monday, as evidenced by the drug level that came back on her 400, where therapeutic is like 50 nanograms per ml. She was at 400, and Larry was at 480. So, what they have to do, the state has to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that this was a conspiracy. And in order to find this couple guilty of a conspiracy, they have to show that they intended the consequences. And you can find intent through circumstantial evidence. You can find intent by looking at their conduct. And you saw the conduct on that video. The other thing you have to do is in order for you to find them guilty of the charge that they're facing, you have to find that they did this with malice aforethought. That's the element of murder. In order to be convicted of murder, there has to be malice aforethought, and you can find malice by inferring their, by looking at their conduct. Maybe it wasn't overt that they were like, "Hey, let's kill the child," but you can infer by their conduct that there was some malice there. I mean, 5 hours and 42 minutes this child was in that car. So they put her in the car at 11:15. Mom and state submits to the jury. No, car was not running. It was not running. They don't come back outside until 12:30. That's when she wants to go into the car and get her cigarettes. It's at 12:30 they realize, hey, she's locked in the car. They go back in, they have sex. You see in the video, they're out on the porch again around 2. It is until 3 o'clock that they make any attempt to get this child out of the car, that they realize it's locked. I probably said 12:30. I think it's more like 3 that they realized she was locked in the car when she went out to get her cigarettes. Also, in that car with the cigarettes was a bag with a loaded gun near the child. That's where this bag with a weapon in it was found. And the state pointed out that you can see on the video that after, while she's locked in this car, they're out swinging. They're not breaking windows to get into the car. They're swinging on a swing. And then they get into his car around 3:30ish. They get into his car and they're playing with each other in the car. And then they eventually go to her house to get the extra key. They come back. They're gone 52 minutes. This child is sitting in that hot car for 52 minutes. It's after 4 o'clock that they get back with the extra key fob. And then they start trying in earnest to get into this car. That's when Larry calls the locksmith. The locksmith tells him how to work the key fob to get into the car. And there is Larry on the tape reaching into the vehicle for something. Now, he's saying he reached into the vehicle to turn the car off. I don't think this car was running. I think he reached in that vehicle to turn the car on and put the air on. Because the cop said when he got there, that car was running, the air was on, but that car was hot. And he said the air conditioning was running cold. So I submit that that's what Larry did. He turned that car on. So at 4:47, you see them hugging each other, and it isn't until after that he actually gets into the vehicle, and then you can see him reaching in and turning the car off, and he gets the child out. And instead of like your child, you just found out your child is dead, and she's laying face down in this tall grass in his front yard, and you run into the house. That's where she was when the police got there, in the house. Wow. Well, I would be standing over my child, cleaning, like doing CPR, doing something, doing. That's my child. Yeah. Nope. She goes in the house. So, what you're seeing is conduct that is so reckless that they're showing a total disregard for human life, which is what the jury has to find malice. This conduct of Leary and Rita was so reckless as to be disregarding of human life. And being drunk or they weren't drunk, but being on methamphetamine, even if they had just been drinking, neither is a defense. Intoxication or under the influence of a drug is not a defense to a crime. Now, Leary's attorney, he gets up and he argues, hey, my client put her in the car and then relinquished her to her mother, told her mother, go ahead, get in the car, leave. Because he was mad. He found out she was cheating on him. She doesn't leave. So he poses to the jury this question. What if he had, at this point, put her in the car, told mom to leave, got into his own vehicle and left, and doesn't come back till 5 o'clock? Is he still responsible? Are you still holding him responsible? And I would submit to you no, because we're not watching his conduct. It shows utter disregard for her life. He knows she's in that vehicle every time Rita talks him into having sex and going back into the house to have sex. He knows she's in that hot car that he thinks was on. Well, who turned it on? The Pillsbury Doughboy? Nobody was out there. Nobody turned that car on. Oh my goodness. And I doubt very seriously that they left it running from the night before until 11 o'clock that day. No, I'm not buying that. No, 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 no. So then the judge sends the jury for lunch. They come back. Then we get the defense closing argument from Rita's attorney. And he's just saying, use your common sense. Um, he talks about he brings his client in front of the jury. I've never seen anybody do this. Goes over, gets her from her chair where she was sitting by him at the defense table, brings her side by side with him in front of the jury. This is Rita. Rita, who loved her daughter. I'm thinking, yeah, so? So much that she put Larry before she put her daughter, you know. We did not get to see the entire video, and I suspect if we had, my feelings would be even stronger than what you're seeing now, because I don't think there's any excuse for what happened to this child. You know, those children are very, very difficult to take care of, and maybe she was straining to take care of her, but you you leave her with a babysitter, you've got bed bugs, she has no groceries in the house to feed the child. She doesn't even know if she does feed the child has a choking hazard. Speaking of choking, I'm trying to choke. In any case, oh, I'm gonna live. All right, so that is. Oh my God, my neighbor's mowing the lawn, which means I gotta go mow the lawn because his is gonna look great. Mine's gonna look like crap because anyway, whatever. I should just tell him to mow mine, except he's older than I am, I think, or we're about the same age. Anyway, and it's too daggum hot out there right now. No, maybe this evening. I don't know. I just haven't felt up to it. You know, I'm still having these aches and pains from the accident, and I went car shopping yesterday. Couldn't find what I wanted. You know, and the guy's telling me, well, you're going to have to get into a car similar to what you had, which would be okay. So I really didn't like that car. I've never liked that car. Getting out of it is very difficult. I'm 5'10", and it's like getting up off the floor. When I fall down on the floor, you're going to need a forklift to get me up because I've had 2 knee replacements. Once you've had a knee replacement, you cannot kneel on your knees. So you have no use of kneeling to help yourself up once you had a knee replacement. So getting in and out of that car, and I would open the door to get out of the car, and then the car door would close. You know, you'd open it again, grab your stuff, the car door would close. I hated it. The radio would come on spontaneously, and I just felt like the car was too small for me. And my sister was like, "Get a car that fits you." So I was thinking of a crossover SUV type thing. And you know, by the time they had tax tag title, it just eats up your down payment. And I don't want to pay more than what I was paying a month for the car. And I don't want to drive a Ford or a Chevy or I don't know. I've never liked them. I drove Fords for 20 years because my ex-husband's father was a Ford manager and we could get them at cost. But I don't like them. I like Nissans, and some of these crossovers are gorgeous, but they're expensive. Or I could get one with, that I could afford, but it's got like 115,000 miles on it. I don't want a car with 115,000 miles on it. Jeez Louise. Anyway, I'm going to keep looking. I don't like feeling rushed. And they're like, well, you gotta have the rental car back on Friday. So I finally called the rental guy, and I'm like, I first of all, you haven't given me the money. I need money to go shop for a car, and second of all, I don't want to be rushed. Can you please extend the rental? So of course he graciously extends it till Tuesday, which Monday's a holiday. So now I got the weekend to try to find a car. Good heaven. They Thanks for letting me rant. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I am working on a true crime story for you. I'll either record it tomorrow or record it Monday. Monday is Labor Day, but I probably will go ahead and record the true crime story for you. The Boy in the Box. Yeah, we're going to go there. Back to Florida. We're leaving South Carolina, going back to Florida. So, like I said, the judge just finished reading the jury instructions. He has sent them out to deliberate. I will put up a verdict watch thumbnail. I'll put a time on it, but the time is whenever they come back. When they come back, I will go live with that verdict. If you're watching this after the verdict, well, hope you watch the verdict too. But I think it's a foregone conclusion. I just don't see how they can find, you know, that Larry relinquished the child to her mother and that he's not responsible. I'm sorry. You were there. You put her in the car. You didn't leave and go somewhere else. You were having sex with her mom all afternoon while she's sitting in a hot car. That's disgusting. Okay. I gotta I this case really pisses me off. Really pisses me off. Okay. The lesson here is don't do methamphetamines. You're either going to go so crazy that you'll be chopping up bodies like Taylor Business, or you're just disregarding your responsibilities. Anyway, that's the show for today. It's short, it's sweet, but hopefully I'll see you within a few hours for the verdict. Take care, everybody. Love you, and I'll see you Monday in Crafting and Crime Daily. Bye.